What about the political ambition? I mean, again, there was no hint of that in your early background. You seem to come fairly a bit later into that sort of ambition.
Well, it was much later when I decided to do something about it.
Right.
That was during the war.
But was there one thing that made you decide to do something about it?
Yes. During the war, 1944, there was a referendum to give the federal parliament power for 5 years over all matters concerning post-war reconstruction. And the Liberals, under Menzies, said things completely opposite to what Menzies had been saying when he was wanting a referendum 7 years before. I supported in them. I was outraged at his change of heart, or that is, I thought, you can't believe these people. You must get in, do something to set things right. And at that stage, that's in 44, I decided my next leave, I'd join up, and I did.
When you went into politics, did you, from the very moment you entered, did you have ambition to reach the highest office? In other words, to be Prime Minister one day?
No, it was quite a number of years before I thought that that was possible, or likely, or necessary. It wouldn't have been until... See, I went into House of Representatives at the end of 52, and it would have been in the late 50s before I came to realise that maybe I should be Prime Minister, and was into the 60s before I realised, probably, that it's only if I became the leader of the Labour Party that it would become the government.
Why?
We were very backward-looking at that time. There were a lot of issues we hadn't tackled, and so I thought if there were issues which were correct but not understood, you had to fight for them. You had to do it consistently. If there are issues where we were wrong, you had to alter them.
But what I'm interested in is why you had this sense that you were the person to do that and not anybody else.
Oh, well, I don't particularly... I mean, there's comparisons and that sort of thing, which obviously I don't want to come into. But I think I came to realise that the issues that I was speaking about were ones that had to be implemented. They wouldn't be implemented until I became leader of the Labour Party and until it became the government.
When you were Prime Minister, did you have a very simple notion, an idea of what you wanted for Australia?
Oh, yes, for many years. See, I'd been in Parliament just 20 years when I was elected as the leader of the Labour government. And so in that period, I'd been pretty diligent in working out a whole range of things that had to be done, which had accumulated and our predecessors hadn't done them, or which were being done elsewhere already, and which we had to do. So it was very clear what we would do, what we believed had to be done.
Was there one single image you had in your mind, though? One picture?
Oh, well, if I must... I suppose there are a couple of things. One was that we had to come to terms with our geography. Australia had to play her role in dealing with things in this region, from Japan and China, Papua New Guinea and the Pacific, Indian Oceans in general. Secondly, at home, we had to make it possible for everybody to have some equality of opportunity in things which were bound to come up for every family, like education, or could come up for every family, like health problems. And of course the whole question of the resource cities, which were in isolated areas, or the outer suburbs in every state capital, which were terribly short of all the things which elected people had to provide if they were to be provided at all. So those two things, external and internal.
Right, well, we'll take a break there.